In 1965, the Stones decided to tour, and I bought them because if you're successful as a concert promoter in a city, chances are the other acts will come to you. It's almost territorial. So I bought the Stones for $4,500, and we played Long Beach Auditorium the first time. They were different. I always felt the Stones at that time, not now, of course, were jealous of the Beatles. And I had problems with Jagger and the guys because I couldn't get them to leave the stage. The same kids could go see a Rolling Stone concert. They would see a Beatle concert and act totally different. And I'll never forget, Jagger was out there, and at that time the whole English thing was you threw jelly beans at the act to show your support. So Jagger's on stage, and the Stones' music was wonderful. But a little girl takes her boot off from up in the balcony and lops it down in front of Jagger. And for the entire concert, he knew she had one more. And so he kept watching, and sure enough, last song, bam, it hit in front of him. But they were difficult. Stones were difficult. They were different than the Beatles, and I did them for 2 years. The first year I paid them $4,500. Second year I paid them $20,000, Long Beach Arena. And but they were difficult. It's I had a Dave Clark 5. This is the whole English migration. We played the Dave Clark 5, and I told him, I said, now when you get done, you gotta head right out there. I've got a limo with a motorcycle officer waiting to take you. So he was very good about it. And the biggest problem with the concert back in the 60s and 70s was security. The kids went crazy over the acts. So Dave gets off, runs out, gets in the limo, motorcycle goes, and it wouldn't start, right? Now I got 5,000 kids out there, and we're peeling them off and everything. So I finally tapped the limo, and he heads up the hill in Long Beach and go right up into a neighborhood. There's still one girl hanging on the top. So they get up into the neighborhood, this girl screaming and yelling in the whole 9 yards. And the bodyguard gets out of the limo and reaches up to pull the girl off the limo. There's a guy walking his dog coming down. He thinks the guy is attacking the girl. He taps the guard on the shoulder and cold cocks him, pap, knocks him out. And I'm screaming, no, don't. So now I got a screaming girl. I got a bodyguard on the ground that's knocked out. And I went, oh my God, what am I doing? Bob Dylan, 1965 Hollywood Bowl. This is right after the Beatles left. Dylan had a hit record go like a Rolling Stone. He was easy to work with. He came in a little sports car with a very good-looking girl. And while he was on stage, they kept singing, the kids kept yelling, sing like a Rolling Stone. He said, oh man, I didn't bring a G harmonica, and about 12 of them hit the stage. Boom, boom, boom. Picks up one of them and sings. But what was interesting is the first time I'd ever seen hippies. First time. And when he went out there and he played the first half of the show acoustically, the second half of the show he goes out and he picks up the electric guitar. Half of the 13,000 people walked out. That they didn't want to be electric. They didn't want to be cool. So I enjoyed. Dylan was fine. There was a kid who walked up to me backstage and he said, I want to see Dylan. I said, well, you can't see Dylan, man. He said, oh, I want to see Dylan. I said, now why do you want to see that? He said, well, I stole his jacket from him in Seattle last week and I want to give it back to him. I said, oh boy. So I go to Albert Grossman, Dylan's manager, who also had Peter, Paul, and Mary. And I said, there's a guy out here that wants to see Dylan. He stole his jacket. Oh, my God, they brought the kid back, and they made him a hero. I mean, patting him on the back. Oh, man, thank you for bringing the jacket. I mean, geez, what kind of a world am I in, for crying out loud. So acts that I've enjoyed, people like Gordon Lightfoot, wonderful. Beatles' first 2 years, wonderful. Dylan was fine. Pains, I did an Elton John concert in Las Vegas, and right before the concert starts, this guy comes out of the dressing room. He says, Elton will come out of the dressing room if he can see policemen in uniforms. He goes, Elton hates cops. I said, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go over there and tell that officer over there, Las Vegas policeman, man, they were rednecks anyway. You go over and tell him that, okay? And so I look over there, and there's Elton, and Billie Jean King was with him in the entourage, and they were waving their arms and screaming and yelling. And I said, and by the way, I will go out and tell the 8,000 kids out there why you won't go on the stage. So he went on the stage. But when he came off the stage, I had 5 Las Vegas policemen in uniform waiting for him at the bottom of the steps. So Elton was tough. Barry Manilow was tough, really tough.
Barry Manilow.
Yeah, I did a concert with Manilow in Anaheim, and 316 kids could watch the act walk from backstage to the stage. And we had to remove all 316 kids so they couldn't see him walk 10 seconds up on the stage. He was tough.
This was his instruction.
Yep. Yeah, he was tough. Life's too short to deal with people like that. And I just don't want to do that anymore.
Any other toughies come to mind?
Well, we had a fist fight with a band called Yes on the tarmac in Las Vegas because we couldn't get the limo. The policeman wouldn't let us get the limo out on the tarmac, and these guys got mad, and so we had a pushing and shoving match out there. I remember there was an act called Donovan, and Donovan's father wore a caftan, and this is back in that English. We had 9,000 kids in Anaheim, and he comes up to me and he says, "Donovan wants you to turn the air conditioner off. It's bothering him." I said, "You gotta be kidding me. You can't hear that. He can't hear that." And I said, "I'm not gonna turn the air conditioner off." "Well, he won't go on then." I said, "I'll bet you he does." And he did.
Did you talk to him directly?
No, talked to his dad in the caftan. There's some people in this business that I don't know where it's coming from. I have a young son named Corey who's probably the #1 stunt guy in the world. He really is. But he's also a very good director. And he was the second unit director on The Wedding Planner, the Jennifer Lopez movie. And the stuntman's call sheet on the top said, "You are not to make eye contact with Jennifer Lopez." Now, who has the right to tell us who we can look at? I just think that's way beyond where we're supposed to go. In fact, the backstage crew at the Hilton Hotel in Vegas were told that when Manilow walks on the stage, they had to turn their back. Those are the things, folks, that are just not right. Those are just not right. And I'm sure those people are good people. I'm sure Manilow's a nice person, and I'm sure that Jennifer Lopez is a nice person, and she doesn't want to be stared at and all of that. I can appreciate that. But we can't tell each other what we can do. I'm some of the TV guide said I was a rascal, and I guess I am. I was doing Card Sharks over at CBS, and I shared the dressing room with Bob Barker. When Barker was doing Price is Right, I was gone, and when I was doing Card Sharks, he was gone, so we had the same dressing room. Up on the wall is a big carved-out wooden sign, very elaborate, that says WGMC. And being the rascal I am, as I walked out one day, I took the sign off and I put it under the couch. I'm out at the ranch, we're roping. I get an emergency phone call from Jonathan Goodson. "Where's Barker's sign?" I said, "What sign?" "You know what sign. Where's Barker's sign?" "He won't go on until he gets the sign." "What sign?" He said, "Don't mess with me, Bob. I need to know." I said, "Oh, for God's sakes, it's under the couch, okay." I said, "What the heck does WGMC mean?" He says, "World's Greatest MC." I said, "Oh, okay."
Interesting.
I took the star off Alan Ludden's dressing room one time, and he wouldn't go on until they found it. Sorry, folks.
A rascal.
I'm a rascal.
I imagine technically the music industry back in the day, in terms of concerts, it was a different world. The sound systems were probably much more primitive than we know them to be today.
Well, for sure. Beatles, first year, 64, 65, we had to use the house sound system at the Hollywood Bowl. And I believe, I don't know if this is true or not now, but I believe they still have to use that system because of the neighbors. The neighbors complained about it. But, you can, my God, you can pay an act a huge amount of money, but the writer, the addendum to the contract, goes on and on and on and on. And I had some, funny things like, when the Rolling Stones came over, they wanted M&Ms in their dressing room, and all the brown ones had to be removed. I mean, it's that kind of junk that takes place. The Doobie Brothers, if there were any little people in the audience, wanted them backstage with them. You also had to bring in special cookies from New York for the Doobie Brothers. Fleetwood Mac, all four of them had a diet, a special diet. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just, they had too much time on their hands.